Afternoon everyone. We wanted to trial starting to do some videos to help you with working from home, and the first lesson that I'm going to go through with you is your Circles 1 lesson. Now there's two main things that we're going to look at today, and again this should look at some things that you have seen a few times in year 7, 8 and 9, and that is the area and circumference of a circle. Now before we start, and I am going to go through both of these examples, there's two formulas that you are going to need to know, and regardless whether you're doing higher or foundation, you will need to learn these formulas. So the first one is the circumference, and we'll use a C, and that is given by pi, which is just a number, 3.14 and so on, times by the diameter of the circle. And we'll come back to that in a second. The second one that you are going to need is for the area, and the area is given by pi times by the radius squared. So it may be helpful if you write both of those formulas down in your book. Now the first thing that we're going to do is try and work out the circumference of both of these circles. Alright, so I'm going to do this one first. So it's a really good habit to get into is writing down the formula that you use, and I always put a box around it just to make it really clear. Now here we need to work out what piece of information we're actually given in the diagram. Now because we're told this line here is 5 centimeters, it goes from the centre of the circle to a point on the circumference, in other words the outside, so that is our radius. So if our radius is 5 centimeters, we should know that the diameter all the way across is twice the length of that radius. So therefore the diameter is 10 centimeters. And now all we need to do is stick that into our formula. So the circumference is equal to pi times by 10. Now if you stick that into your calculator, to get pi we need to press shift and then this button here. Sorry, can't quite see that. That one and then this one, and times by 10. And you will get on your calculator 10 pi. Now for these we'll give them to one decimal place. Okay, so if I now press S to D, that will give me as a decimal. So the circumference of that circle is 31.4 centimeters. Don't forget units. Alright. So if we move on to the second one, this one's actually slightly easier because we're told the diameter this time. So we don't need to double anything or half anything. So again, I'm going to state my formula, put a box around it. I'm told the diameter is 32, in this case millimeters. So the circumference is pi times by 32. Again, stick it into your calculator. Press S to D, that'll give you as a decimal, and the circumference to one decimal place is 100.5 millimeters. And that's my answer. Okay, and that's it. Now the area is very similar, we just need to use the other formula. Alright, so that was the circumference. This is going to be the area. Right, so for exactly the same circle, we're now going to use this formula here. So again, we're told that the radius is 5 centimetres. So area is pi times the radius squared. So the area is pi times 5 squared. Now again, if you stick this in your calculator, pi times by 5 squared. Just focus that a little bit more for you. Equals, and that will give you 25 pi. Now it's really important that you don't round until the end, otherwise you may lose your accuracy marks. So again, to 1 decimal place, area is 78.5. Be careful with units and area, so it's going to be squared. And then finally, again, we're told the diameter is 32 millimeters. So if we're working out the area, state your formula, pi times the radius squared. Now, be really careful here, because in our formula, we need the radius, but we're actually told the diameter. So we know our diameter is 32 millimeters. So therefore our radius, remember, the radius is half. That bit there is your radius, that bit there is the diameter. So therefore we need to half our diameter. So divided by 2, that gives me 16 millimeters. So again, now using our formula, the area is pi times by 16 squared. Pi times by 16 squared, 256 pi, or 2 1 decimal place is 804.2 millimeters squared. And that's it. Okay. Now that's pretty much all you will need to do the activity that we have asked you to do, right? Which is this one here, right? Any question with a star next to it is an extension question. So you don't have to do that one, but if you want to challenge yourself, by all means do that. Okay. Like I say, that's about it. So those are your key formulas. Off you go.